Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of
The Skooled Zone.
So, I made a few adjustments that may help the vocal quality of the channel. I'm using a Blue Yeti microphone and it totally rocks, so it's already starting out on a good foot. But there are still a few things I needed to do to improve the audio from the last few episodes. For one, I didn't have a pop filter. I don't know if it made a difference, but I actually got my windscreen in the mail today. That's kind of like a pop filter plus more, so that should help a smidgen. I also started learning how to reduce the background noise in Adobe Audition. I still have more to learn, but that should start to make a difference. And I also discovered something to help improve my voice, because talking a lot can actually take a toll. So I started gargling with warm salt water before recording, and it actually helps soothe your throat and loosens some of the phlegm. Sounds gross, I know, but if there are any singers in the audience, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're another YouTuber and you haven't done it, it's worth a try. It can actually help improve your voice. So with those three things combined, my voice should sound a little cleaner than the previous episodes, although they weren't bad. But, like I said, I'm always looking for ways to improve. So if you have any other tips, be sure to leave a comment in the After School Club with any suggestions about not only my audio, but anything about the channel. I would really appreciate it. So let's jump in where we left off. We had just read these two books over here, and we hadn't gotten to these two yet because the episodes are running long, as I believe will be a common theme to this channel. But that's okay. I'll probably get faster at editing, and I don't mind it. It's actually kind of fun. So let's go ahead and take a peek at these two books and see if there's anything interesting we can school. Field Survey Notes, The Royal Spy. Excerpt from the personal memoirs of Hiram Burroughs, dated several years earlier. This is the fourth day, month of high cold. Progress continues on the suppression of gang activity in the distillery district, but more slowly than I had expected. The ruffians operating there have been cunning, I'll grant them that, but it's only a matter of time. I'll see their leaders flogged in public and sent beneath the royal executioner's blade. Flogged means to be beaten with a stick. It's usually a public punishment, kind of like getting lashes from a whip or a cane. If I had my way, the mute bastard would be working night and day, removing the heads that needed removing. Internally, the Empress does not seem pleased with my investigations. It seems that it is beyond her thinking, against her very nature as a trusting person, to believe that traitors move among us, but I know they do. They must. No, Jessamine would rather spend her time with the royal protector, which is Corvo. At least he's likely to stop any immediate threat to her safety, but a strong arm is not what's needed against those who would undermine us. How will Corvo's sword stop a poisoned wine glass or an explosive delivered by courier? It will not. There are many threats around us, threats requiring meticulous effort to police. Young Emily is undisciplined, I'm afraid. Here within Dunwell Tower, she receives instruction from the finest tutors known in the Isles. Yet her mother spoils her, and she spends most of her time lost in imagination, wasting her time drawing or asking Corvo to teach her to fight with wooden sticks. The girl might rule the empire someday. Every moment spent at play is a moment wasted. Shoring up the security for the main gate leading into Dunwall Tower has been another pet project of late. To think back in his day, Emperor Caldwin left it open to the public during the day, allowing anyone to come and go as they pleased. If it were up to me, I'd seal off access to the streets entirely, but the Empress won't hear of it. The water lock is much easier to protect. If it were the only way into the tower, traffic in and out would be greatly reduced. Someday the wrong person's going to slip in and we'll suffer for it. Mark my words, no amount of security is excessive when it comes to protecting heads of state. The Empress also disapproves of my plans for the Sokolov devices. Sokolov himself has no interest in security, of course, but he's vain and therefore keen to see his inventions deployed in any fashion. This wall of light he's been tinkering with has promise. In any case, At least I was able to convince the Empress to upgrade the pistols carried by the officers of the watch. Why do I worry so, when no one else seems to care? If I ever fall asleep, will it all sink into the ocean? Will the rough things clamber over the walls and fill themselves on our flesh? This is what I see in the same dream several times each month. If only I had more to say in things, more authority, I could protect us all. Perhaps I have been working too hard. Dinner and an evening of conversation with a certain lady of refinement might be in order, perhaps somewhere nice in the estate district. Hiram Burroughs, Royal Spy Master. So he's definitely a paranoid type, but it's always a delicate balance between homeland security, as they say, and martial law. Interesting stuff. Let's check out this book. Rumors and Sightings, Daud. Excerpt from an overseer's covert field report. For over a year now, I've lived away from the Abbey, without the company of my overseer brethren or the guidance of the blind sisters of the oracular order. Oracular means having to do with an oracle or a fortune teller. Days have passed with me sleeping in the dens of cut purses, murderers, and worse. So a cut purse is a type of pickpocket who usually cuts a purse string from someone's belt from back in the days when people used to attach coin purses to their belts with a rope or string. And the nights have seen me prowling through the worst alleys and wretched corners of Dunwall. I have taken my meals with killers. At times I have ventured beyond the city walls, meeting in forgotten graveyards and the outlying ruins frequented by those of ill means. My beard has grown long, and I wear the weathered clothing and bits of boiled leather favored by the Bottle Street and Hatter gangs, and by those rough men and women who make their trade knifing others in return for coin. My hands have run red with blood, it's true, but I have selected my targets with care, choosing among those criminals and heretics who were not fit to live, executing them justly and using their deaths as a means of building my reputation. So far, this trick has allowed me to make my name among murderous colleagues without taking the lives of the innocent. My goal is singular. I must impress the assassin Daud in order to get close to him. Of all the practitioners of black magic we have tracked, none concern the Abbey as much as Daud. It is said that his mother was a witch from one of the archipelagos off the Pandician coast. So an archipelago is a group of islands. For example, Hawaii is an archipelago, taken captive by pirates venturing from the Isles. According to the legend, by the time the ship returned, the captain was dead and the witch controlled the crew, with Daud still a shadow in her belly. The earliest stories tell of a gang killer without mercy, moving among the shopkeepers and city watch officers of Dunwall like a reaper through wheat. Then a period of silence followed. Years, we now believe, he spent traveling the Isles, studying anatomy and the occult in the great halls of learning and the hidden basements frequented by fellow dabblers in the forbidden arts. Daud is even purported to have spent a winter in the Academy of Natural Philosophy itself. So natural philosophy is the old-fashioned term they used for physical sciences. And for a time, before a schism developed, he counted the Brigmore witches among his allies, though a schism is like a separation of thought or opposing factions. All the while, he honed his craft, and it is during this time that we believe he began to consort with the outsider. New reports emerged of a dusky-skinned assassin paid by the elite to eliminate their rivals in Dunwall and in other major cities across the Isles. Those who saw him and lived numbered in the handful, but all of them reported something strange. He appeared and vanished like smoke. From a nearby rooftop, he gestured, and a noblewoman stumbled from her balcony, falling to her doom on the cobblestones below. Most recently, as this new threat of plague has risen in Dunwall, Daud has been seen leading a gang of men in dark leather, dressed as factory whalers in their vapor masks. They seemed loyal beyond comprehension for one so unworthy, leading me to wonder if some of his magic is dedicated to lulling their minds, enslaving them. Only a month ago, one young girl claims to have come upon a strange scene. Carrying a bottle of milk home to a crippled brother, she was taking a shortcut through the tailor's district. In a narrow street, she passed beneath a window and heard unusual sounds from within. Pushing aside the ratty curtain, the girl saw into an abandoned apartment, used by miscreants. Miscreants could either mean villains or heretics, for gambling and trading habberweed. So I'm pretty sure habberweed is a made-up plant in the Dishonored world, although it's probably a subtle reference to marijuana. An occult shrine has been erected against the far wall, which she recognized from the teachings given by her local overseer. A man she described as resembling Daud was kneeling before the shrine, muttering to an unseen spirit as if in an argument. He took a carving made of pale bone from the altar before him, and the lights all went out in a gush of unclean wind. Quiet as a field mouse, she slipped away, running until she reached her home. There can be no doubt. Daud is an agent of the Overseer and must die, for there is no limit to the evil this man might do. This is my solemn oath and the great purpose of my life. Until Daud is dead and this corruption has been purged from the world, I will continue to move among the depraved, winding my way toward him. I will not drop my guise or don my Overseer's mask again until Daud breathes no more. Alright, so that's some pretty interesting stuff about Daud, who I mentioned was the assassin who killed the Empress and kidnapped Emily, and he is going to be the main character of the DLC that we are going to play right after Dishonored. Alright, so let's keep going. So, what I'm going to do before I start exploring around in the pub is we're going to head outside, get a little sunshine, and we're going to head over to where I know a Rune is located. We can hop off here. Yeah, it didn't do any damage. So we're going to head over here and grab another rune so we can get a little closer to getting the more advanced version of the dark vision. And eventually we want to upgrade our blink, because it's not going very far right now. Oh, jeez. It's kind of challenging to get out of the water sometimes. I'm going to get bit. I'm going to get bit. Get out of the water. Okay. There are these things right here. These little fish. I forgot what they're called. I'll put a little pop-up so I can remember when I research it later what they're called. But if you hop in the water and you're unprotected, then they will just nip on you like piranhas. So here's the rune. Sweet. Play your way, power. So you can kind of basically select the type of style that you want to play. If you really like doing melee, you can grab things like the adrenaline. And if you're more of a ranged guy, then you can pick up powers like possession or the rats. Alright, we'll have to swim through these guys who are nipping at us. Oh boy. Alright, I didn't do too much damage. Oh, look at that. It's a dragonfly. I'll put a little pop-up, give you a couple of cool little facts about dragonflies. Some things I gotta research. I don't know off the top of my head. Alright, so let's head up. And now that we have one rune, we can grab another rune from Piero. He should be up here. He'll sell us another one, and then we can scope out all the treasure.
Havelock stopped in earlier, but I forgot what he wanted. He's waiting to see you, I believe. What can I do for you?
Let's talk about upgrades and new equipment. Alright, here we go. Rune. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to buy some more stuff from him later. But let's go ahead and equip this rune. And purchase level 2 of the dark vision. Awesome. So let me show you what it looks like real quick. And I'm also going to go in and reassign the power to the top of the keypad here. So this is what it looks like. See how it kind of turns amber colored and all the people are yellow? So this is what I mentioned last game. I hope this doesn't bother you guys too much. But we can see, I wouldn't have even saw this coin up here if it hadn't been on. So hopefully that won't trouble you guys too much. Ooh, thanks for the key. Thanks for the hemlock. And then you know what we're going to do before we check out more of his lab and the pub? Is we are going to head up here. And I happen to know you can swing around behind this little tower here and go in the back door, of which will eventually become Emily's little place to stay. So let's see if there's some treasure we can grab first, and then we'll check out these books. Powdered crystal. Let's see what this audiograph.
Elementary sums. History of the Isles. Geography of the Isles. The Seven Strictures. Litany of the White Cliff. Sayings of the Overseer. One day we'll get a few new books.
Okay. Curriculum, maybe? Alright, so the Trials of Aptitude we read in a previous episode, and if you think that we're having to read a lot of books, it just, for the first few episodes, it will be that way, but eventually they'll start repeating, and then we'll be able to move on to many of the other cool items that we can feature. So let's check this one out. The Fugue Feast. Excerpt from a book on the celebrations and holidays. At the end of every year, after the last day of the month of songs, we begin the Fugue Feast. So, fugue is a musical term, but it also means a temporary loss of memory, like amnesia. The new year is not started, and thus the time that follows is outside the calendar. A period of celebration and feasting begins, during which the people abandon the very practices that keep them whole and healthy over the years. Many people leave their homes euphoric with spirits or potent herbs. Euphoric means state of extreme happiness. Some paint their faces and wear masks to conceal themselves as they pursue their passions without reservation. When the right cosmological signs are observed and it's time for the calendar to begin anew, the sitting high overseer calls for the hymn of atonement. Atonement means righting a wrong, and the fugue feast ends. Families return to their homes, wives to their husbands, enemies put down their weapons, and fires are extinguished. No complaint is given for those who have wronged others, deviated from ancient codes, or discarded oaths. For this time during the astrological alignment does not exist, and is not recorded. The following day starts the new year, marked on the very first of the month of Earth, as it has always been. Interesting stuff. Anyone ever seen the movie The Purge? So this sounds a lot like that. Okay, so let's close this door here. Go ahead and head out the front door. And yeah, so quite a bit of reading today, but some really interesting stuff that we learned. And we are going to pick up next episode with some exploration of Pierrot's lab and then the Hound Pits Pub. All right, so thanks so much for watching, and tune in next time for another schooling of the factoids.